We love food colored green, bell peppers and long string beans, pickles, celery, cucumbers too. All these foods are good for you.
Welcome to Storytime Cooks, where we learn about food through books. Today we're reading Two Old Potatoes and Me. This story is by John Coy and is published by Naughton Press. Last spring at my dad's house, I found two old potatoes in the back of the cupboard. They were so old they had sprouts growing from their eyes. I tossed them in the trash. "Wait," Dad said. "I think we can grow new potatoes with those. I'll call your grandpa. He'll know." After talking with Grandpa, Dad and I took the potatoes to the sunniest spot in the garden. We raked the soil, we dug, we picked out rocks, and Dad carefully cut the potatoes into 9 pieces with his jackknife. I made sure each piece had at least one yellow sprout. And you can see there's a little sprout from each of those little pieces of potato. And Dad dug 9 small holes, and I put a piece of potato with the eye facing up in each hole. And then I covered it with dirt to make little hills. Dad got out the hose, and I watered it gently. In May, the green plants poked up like caterpillars unfolding. We got down on our knees, and we picked weeds, and we shoveled compost onto each hill. "Won't that smother the plants?" "No, they'll grow through it," Dad said. "Are we really going to get new potatoes from those old potatoes?" "I think so," said Dad. The plants grew bigger and bigger, with violet flowers blossomed. And then we added more compost and we watered. I accidentally sprayed my dad with the hose. He laughed and he sprayed me back. In July, when the plants were as tall as my waist, we picked potato beetles off the leaves and dropped them into a pail of soapy water. "We have to do this," Dad said. "Otherwise, the bugs will eat the leaves and the potatoes won't grow." I don't think the bug was quite that big, but they were still pretty big, and they dropped them in soapy water to get rid of them. In August, some of the plants turned brown and withered. "Are they dead?" "No," said Dad. "The potatoes are growing underground." "Are you sure?" "I hope so. That's what your grandpa said." We weeded and we watered and we waited. Now, on a cool September day, Dad and I sit on a bench in front of the garden. And they talked about the sky. They had kind of a periwinkle blue sky, and the little boy said that's what color his bedroom was. After they went to bed, they got up and they walked to your garden. They walked to the garden, and his dad said, "What is your favorite way to eat potatoes?" "Mashed," said the little boy, "with lots of butter and a sprinkle of nutmeg for good luck." Never had nutmeg on my mashed potatoes. That's my favorite too. Let's see what's under these hills. Dad got the garden fork from the shed, and I carried a big bucket. Dad digs at the first hill. Nothing but dirt. Oh no. But he digs again, and he digs more dirt. After all the work, I say, "Nothing," but Dad hands me the fork, and he says, "You try." I dig deeper, and I lift the fork, and I see 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 golden shapes. "Potatoes," I shout. "Look at all those spuds," Dad said. I bend down and pick up the dirt and brush the dirt off each of the skins and set aside the potatoes in a bucket. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potato, 6 potato, 7 potato, more. Each hill was lots of potatoes. Some are small, some are big, some had funny faces. 51 potatoes, 52 potatoes, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, and more. I counted 67 potatoes in our bucket. It was overflowing. All this from 2 old wrinkled potatoes. Yes, Dad rubs my head. Ready for some mashed potatoes with lots of butter? Yeah, I said, I'm hungry. It is amazing how we can take potatoes with eyes, and wouldn't you know, none of my potatoes had eyes today when I looked. But there are some darker spots on there, and that's probably where the eyes will form. And if we cut those and planted them, we could grow potatoes. One of my favorite ways to have potatoes are baked potatoes. And this is a really good meal prep. You could wash potatoes, wrap them up some foil, stick them in the oven. You can even stick them in your slow cooker and they'd be ready to eat when you come home. But one thing we sometimes forget is that baked potatoes can be a potentially hazardous food. September is Food Safety Month, so I thought it would be interesting for us to talk about this. When you cook your potatoes in foil, it's fine if you're just going to unwrap them and eat them right away. But if you're going to save those for another day, it's important that you unwrap the foil before you put it in the refrigerator so that it can cool off quick enough that it won't grow any potentially hazardous bacteria that could make you sick. So when you make those baked potatoes, do plenty. They would make really great hash browns. You can turn them into twice baked potatoes. You can make them into potato salad. There's lots of ways you can enjoy pre-prepped baked potatoes, but just make sure that you do unwrap the foil. You could even cut them into pieces so that they would cool quicker so that you can enjoy safe baked potatoes and not any that would make you sick. We hope that you will continue to join us for Storytime Cooks as we learn about food through books, and our potatoes today came from our vegetable category. Come back again and join us next week.
We love food colored green, bell peppers and long string beans, pickles, celery, cucumbers too.